What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a morning talk show expecting a normal interview, only to face a host who seems determined to tear her down? In just 28 seconds, a simple question turned into the most explosive morning television moment of the year, and it only took one comment from Lorraine Kelly to make Kate Winslet do something she had never done before on live television. The studio lights were bright that morning. Kate Winslet sat in the iconic yellow chair, smiling politely as the cameras rolled. She had been on hundreds of talk shows before. This was supposed to be easy. Just another day promoting her latest film. But from the moment Lorraine Kelly opened her mouth, something felt different. Something felt wrong. "So Kate," Lorraine began, leaning back in her chair with a smirk that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You're here to talk about your new movie. But I think what everyone really wants to know is how you managed to keep getting these roles at your age." The studio went quiet. Panel members Sarah Green and Mark Austin exchanged uncomfortable glances. Kate's smile faltered for just a second before she recovered. "I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?" Kate asked, her voice calm but with an edge that hadn't been there moments before. Lorraine waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, you know what I mean. Hollywood isn't exactly kind to women over 40, is it? And yet, here you are, still booking lead roles. There must be some secret you're not telling us." Sarah Green shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable. "Lorraine, I think what Kate's talent speaks for." "I'm asking Kate, Sarah," Lorraine interrupted, not even looking at her fellow panelist. Her eyes stayed locked on Kate. "Come on, Kate. We're all friends here. You can tell us. Is it the right connections? The right agent? Or maybe you're just willing to take roles that other actors won't?" Kate sat up straighter. "I take roles that challenge me as an actor. Roles that tell important stories. I'm not sure what you're implying." "I'm not implying anything," Lorraine said, that same cold smile on her face. "I'm just saying it's interesting. That's all. Interesting how some people seem to have such easy careers while others struggle." Mark Austin cleared his throat. "Lorraine, perhaps we should talk about the actual film. Kate's performance has been getting incredible reviews, and—" "We'll get to the film, Mark," Lorraine snapped. "Right now, I'm having a conversation with our guest." But it wasn't a conversation. Anyone watching could see that. It was an interrogation. It was an attack disguised as curiosity. "Let's talk about your personal life then," Lorraine continued, ignoring the growing tension in the room. "You've been married for years. Happily married, you always say. But we've all seen the tabloid stories, the rumors. Don't you think it's time to address them?" Kate's face went pale. "My personal life is exactly that. Personal. I'm here to discuss my work." "Oh, come on," Lorraine laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "You can't come on television and expect us not to ask the real questions. The questions people actually care about. Nobody wants to hear about some boring film. They want to know about you. The real you. The you behind closed doors." Sarah Green looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. Mark Austin was staring at his notes, clearly wishing he was anywhere else. "The real me is an actor," Kate said, her voice getting firmer. "The real me is someone who takes her craft seriously. And the real me is someone who expected to be treated with basic respect when I agreed to come on this show." "Respect?" Lorraine's eyebrows shot up. "You want to talk about respect? That's rich coming from someone who's made millions, playing the same type of character over and over again. Tell me, Kate, do you ever get bored of playing the tragic woman, the suffering artist? Or is that just your brand now?" The audience gasped. Even the camera operators seemed stunned. This had gone beyond uncomfortable. This was hostile. "I think you need to be very careful about what you say next," Kate said quietly. Her hands were gripping the arms of the yellow chair so tightly her knuckles had turned white. "Or what?" Lorraine leaned forward, her voice dripping with condescension. "You'll walk off? You'll call your publicist? Please, you need shows like this more than we need you. There are a dozen other actors we could have sitting in that chair right now. Younger actors, more relevant actors. Lorraine, that's completely out of line. Sarah Green finally spoke up, her voice shaking. Kate is a guest on this show, and I'll decide what's out of line on my own show. Thank you very much, Sarah. Lorraine shot back. If you don't like how I conduct my interviews, there's the door. Sarah went quiet, looking down at her lap. Mark Austin pretended to be very interested in his phone. Kate took a deep breath. I've been doing this job for over 25 years. I've been on talk shows all over the world. I've answered difficult questions. I've dealt with tough interviewers. But I have never, ever been spoken to like this. Like what? Lorraine said innocently. Like an equal? Like someone who doesn't deserve to be put on a pedestal just because she won an Oscar once? Get over yourself, Kate. This is reality. This is what real journalism looks like. Real journalism? Kate's voice rose slightly. Real journalism is asking thoughtful questions about someone's work. Real journalism is treating your guests like human beings. This isn't journalism. This is cruelty for entertainment. The audience was completely silent now. You could hear the buzz of the studio lights, the quiet whir of cameras. Everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. If you can't handle a few tough questions, Lorraine said, her voice getting louder, then maybe you're not as strong as everyone thinks you are. Maybe all those brave characters you play are just that. Characters. Maybe the real Kate Winslet is just a sensitive little actress who can't handle criticism. Criticism? Kate stood up. She didn't yell. She didn't scream. But everyone in that studio could feel the anger radiating from her. You want to criticize my work? Fine. Criticize away. But what you're doing isn't criticism. It's personal. It's mean. And I won't sit here and let you talk to me like I'm beneath you. Sit down, Lorraine commanded. We're not done here. Oh, we're done, Kate said. She reached up and unclipped her microphone. We're absolutely done. You walk off this set and you'll regret it, Lorraine threatened. I have a lot of influence in this industry. A lot of connections. You'll be burning a very important bridge. Kate stopped. She turned back to look at Lorraine. And for the first time since the interview started, she smiled. Really smiled. You know what, Lorraine? I don't care. I don't care about your influence. I don't care about your connections. Because at the end of the day, I can look at myself in the mirror and know that I treat people with respect. Can you say the same? Lorraine's face went red. How dare you? No, Kate interrupted. How dare you? How dare you invite someone onto your show and treat them like this? How dare you think that having a platform gives you the right to be cruel? How dare you act like you're some kind of authority on what makes a good actor or a good person when all you've done for the past 15 minutes is show everyone watching exactly who you really are? Sarah Green was openly staring now, her mouth slightly open. Mark Austin had put his phone down and was watching with wide eyes. Get out, Lorraine hissed. Get out of my studio. Gladly, Kate said. She dropped her microphone on the chair. But before I go, I want everyone watching to know something. You don't have to accept being treated badly. You don't have to smile and nod when someone is being cruel to you. You don't have to put up with bullies, no matter how much power they think they have. Security, Lorraine called out. Get her out of here. I'm leaving, Kate said calmly. You don't need security, but you might need to take a long look at yourself and ask why you felt the need to tear down someone who came here in good faith. She started walking toward the exit. The cameras followed her. The entire studio was still completely silent, except for the sound of her footsteps. You're finished, Lorraine shouted after her. You hear me? Finished. Kate stopped at the door. She turned back one last time. No, Lorraine, I'm just getting started. But you, after today, after everyone sees how you treat people, we'll see who's finished. And with that, she walked out. The camera cut back to Lorraine, who was sitting in her chair, her face bright red, her hands shaking. Sarah Green and Mark Austin looked absolutely shell-shocked. "Well," Lorraine said, trying to regain her composure, "that was unexpected. Clearly someone can't handle a real interview. We'll be right back after this break." But the damage was done. In those 28 seconds, when Lorraine had first questioned Kate's age and relevance, she had set off a chain reaction that ended with one of the most dramatic exits in talk show history. Sarah Green leaned over to Mark Austin as soon as they cut to commercial. "Did that really just happen?" Mark nodded slowly. "That really just happened." "Lorraine," Sarah said carefully, "that was really harsh. Kate didn't deserve that." "Oh, not you too," Lorraine snapped. "She's an actress. They're all dramatic. She'll get over it." "I don't think she will," Mark said quietly. "And I don't think the audience will either." Lorraine waved them both off. "Please. People have short memories. By tomorrow, no one will even remember this happened." But she was wrong. So very wrong. The show came back from commercial break, but the energy was completely different. Lorraine tried to continue as normal, moving on to the next segment, but her hands were still shaking. Her voice wasn't as steady as usual. And every few seconds, she would glance at the empty yellow chair where Kate had been sitting. "So, our next guest is here to talk about the latest trends in home decorating," Lorraine said, reading from her cards. But even she seemed to realize how ridiculous it sounded to jump from that confrontation to throw pillows and paint colors. Sarah and Mark tried their best to engage with the next segment, but their hearts clearly weren't in it. They kept exchanging looks, worried looks, uncomfortable looks. During the next commercial break, Sarah spoke up again. "Lorraine, I really think you should consider apologizing. What you said to Kate was what?" Lorraine interrupted. "Honest? True? Someone needs to ask these people the hard questions, Sarah. That's what I do. That's what makes this show different." "That wasn't hard questions," Mark said, finding his courage. "That was an attack. There's a difference between being a tough interviewer and being cruel." Lorraine's eyes narrowed. "Are you two ganging up on me now? On my own show?" "We're not ganging up on anyone," Sarah said softly. "We're just worried about how that looked. How it will look." "I don't care how it looks," Lorraine said. "Kate Winslet thinks she's too good for this show? Fine. Let her go cry to her agent. We'll move on. We always do." But even as she said it, there was something in her voice. A slight tremor. A hint of doubt. Because deep down, Lorraine knew that something had shifted. Something had changed. The rest of the show limped along. Lorraine went through the motions, interviewing a chef about holiday recipes, talking to a fashion designer about spring trends. But the spark was gone. The confidence she usually radiated had been replaced with something else. Something that looked a lot like anxiety. Every time there was a break, producers were whispering in corners. Phone calls were being made. People were watching clips on their phones, their faces growing more and more concerned. "It's already online," one producer said to another. "The clip. It's spreading fast." "How fast?" the other producer asked. "Fast. Really fast." Back on set, Lorraine was trying to banter with her panel, but it felt forced, artificial. "So Sarah, what did you think of that recipe?" Lorraine asked, her smile looking more like a grimace. "It looked lovely," Sarah said diplomatically, but she wasn't making eye contact. Neither was Mark. The final segment of the show was a light-hearted quiz with audience members. Lorraine usually loved this part, the interaction with regular people, the laughs, the fun. But today, even the audience seemed subdued, hesitant. One audience member, an older woman, raised her hand during the quiz. "Yes, you have a question about the quiz?" Lorraine asked. "No," the woman said. "I have a question about Kate Winslet. Why did you speak to her like that?" The studio went quiet again. Lorraine's smile froze on her face. "I'm sorry, but we're doing a quiz segment now. If you'd like to..." "I'm a fan of this show," the woman continued. I've watched for years. But what you did to that woman was wrong. She came here as your guest, and you treated her terribly. Other audience members started nodding, murmuring in agreement. Lorraine looked panicked. I think we're going to take another quick break. We don't have another break scheduled, a producer said through her earpiece. I don't care, Lorraine muttered. Cut to break. Now. The show cut to commercial again, but it was chaos in the studio. Lorraine ripped off her microphone and stormed off set. Sarah and Mark sat frozen in their chairs, unsure of what to do. Should we go after her? Sarah asked. I don't know, Mark replied. I honestly don't know. In her dressing room, Lorraine was pacing back and forth. Her phone was buzzing nonstop. Messages, calls, notifications. She picked it up and started scrolling through social media. Every post was about Kate, about the interview, about the confrontation, and they weren't on Lorraine's side. Disgusting behavior from Lorraine Kelly today, one post read. Kate Winslet handled that with so much grace. More than Lorraine deserved, said another. I've lost all respect for Lorraine Kelly after watching her attack Kate Winslet for no reason. Post after post after post. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. All saying the same thing. Lorraine had gone too far. There was a knock on her dressing room door. What? She snapped. The executive producer opened the door carefully. Lorraine, we need to talk about what happened out there. I don't want to talk about it, Lorraine said, not looking up from her phone. I'm afraid we have to. The network has been getting calls. A lot of calls. And the reaction online is significant. So what? Lorraine said defensively. People are always getting worked up about something. It'll blow over. The producer shook his head. I don't think it will. Not this time. Lorraine, what you said to Kate Winslet crossed a line. Multiple lines, actually. She was being difficult, Lorraine protested. She wasn't being difficult. She was being respectful. And you attacked her. On live television. In front of millions of people. Lorraine finally looked up from her phone. Are you saying this is my fault? I'm saying you need to think very carefully about how you want to handle this. Because right now, you're the villain in this story. And Kate Winslet is the hero who stood up to a bully. Those words hit Lorraine like a slap. A bully? I'm not a bully. Then what would you call what happened out there? The producer asked. You questioned her age, her relevance, her marriage, her career choices. You dismissed her concerns. You threatened her. And when she tried to leave with dignity, you told her she was finished. Lorraine opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out, because deep down, she knew he was right. The show's over for today, the producer said. Go home, think about what happened, and tomorrow, we'll figure out how to move forward. He left, closing the door behind him. Lorraine sat down heavily in her chair, still staring at her phone, still seeing post after post criticizing her, defending Kate, praising Kate for walking out. Back in the studio, the show had officially wrapped. Sarah and Mark were gathering their things, talking quietly. I can't believe that happened, Sarah said. I've never seen anything like it. Kate was amazing, Mark said. The way she stood up for herself. The way she didn't lose her temper or get nasty back. She just stated the truth and walked away. Do you think Lorraine realizes what she's done? Sarah asked. Mark looked toward the hallway that led to Lorraine's dressing room. I don't know, but I think she's about to find out. Meanwhile, Kate Winslet was in a car driving away from the studio. Her publicist was on the phone, fielding calls from other media outlets, all wanting statements, all wanting interviews about what had just happened. Kate, everyone wants to talk to you about this, her publicist said. Kate shook her head. No statements. No interviews about this. What happened in there speaks for itself. I don't need to add anything to it. But Kate, you're trending everywhere. People are calling you a hero. I'm not a hero, Kate said quietly. I'm just someone who decided not to accept being treated badly anymore. That shouldn't be heroic. That should be normal. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sarah Green. Kate, I'm so sorry about what happened. You didn't deserve any of that. You were incredible. Kate typed back a quick reply. Thank you, Sarah. You were put in an impossible position. I hope you're okay. Another text came through. This one from Mark Austin. What you did today was the bravest thing I've seen on television. Thank you for showing everyone that it's okay to stand up for yourself. Kate smiled sadly. She hadn't wanted to be brave. She hadn't wanted to make a scene. She had just wanted to do a normal interview about her film. But Lorraine had made that impossible. Back at the studio, crew members were cleaning up, but everyone was still talking about what had happened. One camera operator was showing another the footage he had captured. Look at Kate's face right here, he said, pointing at the screen. You can see the exact moment she decides she's done. And look at Lorraine, the other operator said. She has no idea what's about to happen. She thinks she's in control. That's the thing about people like Lorraine, the first operator said. They think being mean is the same as being powerful. But Kate showed her today. Real power is knowing when to walk away. In the production booth, editors were already cutting together clips of the confrontation. Not because they wanted to, but because they had been told to preserve everything, just in case. Do you think there will be legal issues? One editor asked. I don't know, another replied. But I do know that this is going to be talked about for a long time. This isn't just a bad interview. This is a cultural moment. And he was right. Because what had happened on that set that morning wasn't just about Kate Winslet and Lorraine Kelly. It was about how we treat people, about how we use power, about what we accept and what we refuse to accept anymore. Kate had drawn a line. She had said, this far and no further. And in doing so, she had shown millions of people watching that it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to walk away from situations where you're not being respected. It's okay to refuse to play along with cruelty disguised as entertainment. Lorraine, sitting alone in her dressing room, was starting to understand the magnitude of what had happened. Every text, every call, every post was telling her the same thing. She had made a terrible mistake. She had thought she was being edgy, provocative, good television, but she had been cruel. And unlike Kate, who had maintained her dignity throughout the entire confrontation, Lorraine had shown the worst parts of herself. The yellow chair where Kate had sat was still on the set, empty now. A reminder of what had happened, of what had been lost. Because in those 28 seconds, when Lorraine had decided to attack instead of interview, she had set something in motion that couldn't be undone. Kate Winslet had walked onto that set as a guest. She had walked off as something more, a symbol, a reminder that no one, not even someone with power and influence, has the right to diminish another person. And Lorraine Kelly had learned, in the harshest way possible, that there are consequences for cruelty, that being a host doesn't give you the right to be hostile, that having a platform doesn't mean you can use it to tear people down. The studio lights were turned off, the cameras were put away, the set was empty. But what had happened there that morning would echo far beyond those walls. It would be talked about, analyzed, debated. It would be shown as an example of what not to do, how not to treat people, how not to conduct yourself when you have been given the privilege of interviewing someone. Kate was already moving on, already focusing on her work, her family, her life. She had said what needed to be said. She had done what needed to be done. And now she was letting it go. But for Lorraine, this was just the beginning of understanding what she had done, the beginning of facing the consequences, the beginning of a very long, very difficult journey to rebuild what she had damaged with her words and her actions. In just 28 seconds, everything had changed. One comment had led to a confrontation. That confrontation had led to a walkout. And that walkout had become the moment that defined both of their reputations in ways neither of them had expected when the cameras started rolling that morning. The question everyone was asking wasn't what would happen next. It was how had they gotten there in the first place? How had a simple interview turned into such a disaster? And the answer was simple, even if it was hard to accept. It happened because one person decided to use their power to belittle another. And it happened because another person decided that they deserved better, that they wouldn't accept being treated that way, that they would walk away rather than endure one more second of disrespect. What happens when an Oscar-winning actor sits down for a morning talk show interview? Usually, nothing remarkable. Usually, it's pleasant conversation and easy laughs. But on this particular morning, something different happened. Something that would be remembered long after the cameras stopped rolling and the studio lights went dark. 28 seconds. That's all it took. 28 seconds for Lorraine Kelly to make a comment that would change everything. 28 seconds for Kate Winslet to realize that this interview was not going to be what she expected. 28 seconds that led to one of the most dramatic moments in talk show history. And in the end, the real story wasn't about the confrontation itself. It was about what that confrontation revealed, about power and respect, about dignity and boundaries, about what happens when someone finally says, enough is enough. Kate Winslet walked off that set with her head held high. She had nothing to apologize for, nothing to regret. She had simply refused to be diminished. And that refusal, that simple act of self-respect, had turned a routine morning show appearance into something much bigger. A reminder that we all have the right to be treated with respect, that we all have the power to walk away from situations that demean us, that we don't have to accept cruelty, no matter who it's coming from, or what platform they're standing on. The empty yellow chair sat on the set, a symbol of the moment when Kate Winslet decided she deserved better. And in making that decision, she showed everyone watching that they deserved better too.